Man, when was the last time you had a good night's sleep, Jeff? I mean, I got
I
Sylvester over here. He's gone at like 6 in the morning, like every morning going, "Meow, meow." I
is
love
that
the
the
little
actual?
guy, but he's just got this like tone in the morning that he just does not have the rest of the day. And it's like, feed me, now, now. And he had to step all
Uh,
over me and claw me in the face and everything. And like, not gently, but like, he's like, hey, I'm here. It's time to eat. Time to get up. And I'm just
I
like,
don't.
can I sleep till
Yeah,
8,
I
please?
don't. I don't have like typically I don't have a regular just going to sleep. I used to have insomnia when I was younger. I think I've. I think what cured it is being a mail carrier. By the time I get home, I'm just zonked. Isn't that a Miami player, Zonka?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Who's
Oh, yeah.
Larry Zonka?
Larry Zonka, the running back. Yeah.
Larry Zonka.
Jeff is the mailman who doesn't eat packages. Griffin is the impersonator of all ages. Jeff is the mailman whose picks make him frown. Griffin is the maestro who can't read the rundown. But together as one, they can be beaten by none. It's the walk like a mailman pivot show.
As far as sleeping goes, like specifically this morning, I was out. I appreciate those days where I get knocked out, and then in the morning, I'm trying to I'm trying to wake from a coma. But I knew that we had a pretty full schedule for recording, and I needed to do show prep today, so I had to lasso myself out of bed this morning. But if it wasn't for us recording, I'd probably still be in bed right now. What is that term? Sleeping like a log, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that a term?
Yeah.
Where? Why is that a term? Is it that the Beatles song, "A Long Day's Night"? Oh, here we go. A
Yeah.
long day's night.
I
I've
should
been
be
working.
sleeping like a log.
I've been working like a dog. And I should be sleeping like who wants to sleep like a log? Why is that even a term? Why? How do logs sleep?
Well,
Why do?
apparently, according to the phrase, it means to sleep deeply, heavily, and without waking up.
Is that
And
because? Is that because isn't that they call that like when you're snoring, you're sawing wood like ASMR? Uh,
well, it's kind of like the phrase that you were talking about before about working as a mail carrier being so tired. Apparently, one of the things that came up was lumberjacks, and it's saying it originated from 19th century lumberjacks who performed physically demanding work and be so exhausted at the end of the day that they slept as heavily as the heavy timber they worked with.
Thank you, lumberjacks, for giving us that term. I think of that more often than what I should. Sleeping like a log. I just think of like, do logs really sleep when you see them? Why are we personifying logs, especially when
Because
it
they're
comes?
big and they don't move very easily. So, like, once you knock a log down on a tree or whatnot, it stays down and doesn't move. So,
Is there a reason why I? You said earlier that you were tired and that you're like worn out. Is there a reason why
well, I mean,
all of this
I have
is?
to wake up now at 6 in the morning every day for my job, and Sylvester doesn't let me catch up on my sleep on the weekends because he doesn't care that it's a weekend. He's like, I need my food now. Meow.
How is you're in new employment now? I think the last time we checked in, you were testing or taking
Well, I
classes.
did. I did take my test this week, and thank Tebow, I passed it somehow.
Okay.
I felt
Yeah,
like the whole time I was as I was taking it that like I wasn't gonna fail. I was gonna fail it. And Jeff, let me ask, have you ever been to like a testing center to have to take a test?
ironically so. The last time and probably the only time was for being a postal employee. I think
Really?
that process is defunct. I mentioned it. Ooh, this is I think episode 5. Whatever the case, it was the Super Bowl episode, and it was the one where I was talking about taking the driving test and running over a certain animated figure. I think that's episode 5. They don't do that anymore. I don't think that they make you take this really crazy. It reminds me of like the Wonderlic test
Yeah.
for the NFL quarterbacks. I don't even think they do that anymore. The post office and being a mail carrier has kind of evolved into like a regular job as opposed to you trying to crack into being a career position. And they don't like drug tests, and then but the thing that you're referring to is when I applied and then it was accepted to a certain level, they said that I had to do the drug test and then do this, and then one of the processes was for me to go to a testing center. And of course, this testing center is not just for postal employees, and they
Oh yeah,
give
it's just like
you.
it's like a testing center with a bunch of like computers and everything, and
It reminds me of a computer lab in
yeah, yeah.
college. It's just a room that's very quiet and very, ominous. And there's just a bunch of people, but the people next to you aren't necessarily taking the same exam that you are.
Right,
Uh,
they're gonna be taking any number of different exams. Maybe like a dental exam. It could be like a real estate license exam. I was taking like a financial services type of exam, and they have like a TSA kind of like whole thing. They have to like do the wand. You have to empty out your pockets. You have to like take out your glasses, and they have
you had
to
to bend
examine your
over.
glasses to make
You
sure
had
you
to
don't have like one
bend
meta
over and
glasses.
cough. Sorry, I
Yeah,
had to
pretty
get that in
much.
there.
Pretty much at that point. I mean,
Did
yeah,
they?
they
So they take your glasses away, but don't you need glasses? Like people need glasses to
well,
read.
they
So
check your glasses. They want to make sure it's not one of those like digital cheating type of glasses that like
like a Google Glass or
yeah, like a
a
meta thing or something
yeah.
that has like
Uh, Welcome to the world of.
I mean they looked at it for like 2 seconds and like oh okay, that's good. That's fine. But there
eh,
was like somebody that apparently was trying to cheat for the exam that I took at one point, and they got like tattoos, like fake tattoos of something on their arms, which had some kind of answer on it, and they got caught, obviously.
Wow, that's above and beyond. But I kind of feel like I like applaud them.
I mean,
That
I
is
had been
that's
through this whole
committed.
process before, so I knew what I was stepping into, but like there were some of the people in my cohort, I guess, for lack of a better term, that had never done that before, and they were like shocked at the process and having to go through all that. And I was like, well, I've done this before. I knew what I was getting into.
Have you ever cheated on an exam in school? I
No,
will say.
no. If
Okay.
anything, people would probably be cheating off of me.
That's probably be lucky that I wasn't next to you in class because I probably would have befriended you and then just basically cheated off of you for the. So there was a U.S. government shout out to Miss Manui, is her name Miss Manui, some of that name, whatever. It was senior year, no, junior year in high school,
This the
and
annual Jeff incriminating himself
yeah,
segment on the pivot.
it's not annual, unfortunately.
The regular annual, whatever, same
This
difference.
is the new bit. We should come up with like an intro of.
Jeff Rose incriminating segment of the week. Stay out of trouble, Jeff.
So the circle of friends that I actually have described previous on the podcast. It was like the popular of the popular kids. I wasn't in that circle. I had my smaller circle, but somehow we were indoctrinated into the popular of the popular kids, and they were in, I don't know, like some debate club or some kind of club that used Miss Manui's government class for their weekly meeting. They would go into the class and then they would do whatever their extracurricular class was. And one of the kids that was in this our little small circle went in and rummaged through her desk and found a copy of the final exam. And so he
Ooh.
went immediately to the library and made copies of it and then returned it exactly to where he had discovered it.
Hmm.
And then he handed it out to, we were in this class, and a big fraction of this class were in this circle. So it was, a pretty substantial amount of people that he gave these answers to. And it's a weird feeling to have the answers before a test because you're so you're so used to just being like, okay, well, I studied, I know the answers. So I took the answers, and it's literally just like a sheet of paper that someone did the work, and it was like A C B D A E F C C C, and all
Yeah.
of this stuff. And so then I was very cautious at first, and I looked at the first answer or the first question, and I was like seeing if it lined up. Like, okay, like, who was the first president of the United States? That was not the question, but it was something like that. And then I looked at the key, and of course, C was George Washington. I'm like, okay, that lines up. And I went a couple more. I'm like, yeah, looks like this is the whole entire test in letter form, from question to question. So then I just start filling out like real quick, like a dumbass, just filling out the whole entire thing. And then other things, because I feel like I was a little sharp. I didn't value myself as smart because I was, of course, cheating, which I could get caught and then expelled. But I was like, okay, well, first of all, I need to not make it look obvious like I have all the answers. So then I literally looked at every question, pondered it, like pretend pondered. I I faked pondering. I went right, and then I went left, and then I faked going right, and then I answered it, and then I did that for a little while, and then I thought, well, I have every single answer. It's gonna look bad if I get a 100%, and I'm a C student. Like
Right, right. You gotta make it
this
not look so obvious.
so I started like, okay, well, which one am I going to miss? So then I got to start I am in this mental and I'll fast forward to the end because I had to pick out which questions I felt were like the difficult ones that the teacher would believe that I missed that on purpose, or that I didn't miss it on purpose, that I had studied for the test. I got most all of them correct. I think I got like a 93%. And then my friends all got the results back, and it's like 99, 98%, 99%, 98%. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you are like, don't you realize if you screw this up, they're gonna look at me too? Like, you're gonna ruin it for the rest of us. What are you doing? But so that was, yeah, I had that was the only time that I really feel like, I mean, everyone I think has, like looked over at their friends, test, or looked at their friends whatnot, and and done that. But I think this is the first time I actually blatantly, full-heartedly cheated, and it helped. Like, I think I was like a C minus. I was on the brink of failing that class, or not failing it, but not getting a good enough grade for that class, and it pushed me over the top.
Do you remember Scantrons, Jeff?
Is this gonna be? Yeah, I remember scan. Is okay. Are you hinting that scantrons aren't a thing anymore?
I don't think they are a thing. Are they a thing
I
anymore, Jeff?
I think they are. I don't know. And yes, I do remember scantrons. I was the best Scantron, like filling in the bubble like perfectly. I was so proud of myself at how how efficiently I filled out a Scantron.
This was like just a thing that only seemed to start when I went to college, and it was something that like I'd never had to do before or since.
What, Scantrons?
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, so you never did a Scantron before
Never did a
college?
Scantron before college. No, no. We just
Really?
yeah.
Really?
I mean, I went to a technical high school, and that the fun part about that experience was that like we only went to school half the time. Basically, we had like our shop half the time, and then actual classes half the time. So like every other week we'd be
Mm-hmm.
doing it, but we never like used Scantrons or anything like that. No.
Yeah, in Nevada, we called that, or the kind that I went to, because I have something similar to that. I went to a what we called a magnet school.
Yeah, I mean that's probably another term for it
Yeah, because like
because
I went for art, and I would literally spend half of my day, like 2 to 3 hours a day, in an art studio, like painting and drawing and doing all of those. It was kind of like it was advertised as like a technical school, and the thing is, when you would go to our school, you would get so many credits more than a regular high school. So then that way you went to college, you were kind of like, or when you went to graduate, you would be overqualified to graduate. You had too many credits, or not too many, but more credits than the normal person graduating high school. But yeah, I did the same thing. But I remember Scantrons crazy, like all through high school. That was another thing, is that was like a myth, or like a playground legend, where if you took lip balm, or what's that one thing, the things that you put on your lips,
chapstick,
not
chapstick.
chapstick. It was like the actual like container. It was white with a
Oh,
yellow on
like
the top.
petroleum jelly,
Yeah, something of that. It was. I don't email me by the
like
time.
Vaseline or something, or
Oh god, it's like a Blistex is the actual. I think that's kind of like a Band-Aid type thing, where Blistex was the name of a certain type of lip balm, and it was a little white container, and like it had a little yellow top. I don't know why this is escaping you. I don't know if you've. It may be a regional thing again, but the whole idea is that there's like a little kind of like a register on the side of the Scantron, and if you took Blistex and you wiped it on the little key at the end of the Scantron, the legend was that the machine that reads the Scantrons, because that's the whole reason why you did a Scantron, is so that way each teacher didn't have to go to answer to answer to answer. They
yeah.
would they would put the answers in, run them through a machine, and the machine would pop them out with a grade on it. The whole idea was that you would put Blistex on one side of the Scantron, and then it would confuse the machine, and then it would give you a good grade. I don't know. Kids are stupid. I just saying it out loud now. 20 years, 30 years later, like, and email me. Yes, okay. This time, email me at walklikeamailman@gmail.com. Do you remember this being a thing? Do you remember that was something that was believed to have actually worked at some point? But I remember that. I've never tried it. I actually saw a kid try to do it, and the lady, like the teacher, caught him doing it, and then made him start all over again. And
Oh
that was
man.
he got away with it, almost to the point where like she should have just like kicked him out right then.
Yeah.
But she gave him a second shot, or a second attempt at the test, after she realized that he put Blistex on the side of the Scantron. I would. It's where, like, if someone told me that they don't do Scantrons anymore, that everything's like electronic, or that they give them like a tablet and they punch it out or whatnot, I would believe that. But I still think that they use Scantrons.
Oh, I don't know. We have to ask our college crowd there.
Yeah, well, high school, college, I have young ones, so I don't know by the time they get to it, even if they're using them now, that they're going to be using them 10, 15 years down the road. So, but did you have to use a Scantron at any time for this testing? Is that
No, no, it was all like computer integrated, so it's its own program.
When I was doing the test for the postal job, it was the craziest test in the whole entire. Like, I could not believe that this was an actual thing that some people would pass. Spoiler alert, I did. But it was like they would give you. It was, first of all, it was like 100 questions that you got to get done in like 15 minutes. It was such a weird, like, large amount of questions that like such a minuscule like amount of time to finish it. And then they would give you like an address with a name, and of course the address would have the zip code. So it'd be like Joe Smith at 123 Main Street 89444. And then they would take that away, and then it would ask you questions like, what was the last name of the person? What was the name of the street? What was the zip code? But then they would give you like four addresses, and then you would have to look at them, and then you would be like, oh, there's John Smith, there's Miss McGillicuddy, and then there's also Dick Van Dyke, and then this person, and then they would take that away, and then they would be like, well, what's the zip code for Miss McGillicuddy? And you'd have to remember it, and you're like, oh man, and then because you're confusing all of them, and then they would be like, oh, well, what's the street numbers for Dick Van Dyke? And you're just like, what is going on? Like, I didn't know that I needed to know all of this for being a postal employee. Like, I figured that you would, over time, and that's what the real job is that it's repetition. You learn all of these things, and it's just by repetition. But the test itself was really frustrating. But I figured that a lot of it was, they were just testing whether or not you would, give up and just, I don't know, pack it in. But I don't know. I did good enough. I don't think I did too good, but I think I did good enough just in case.
Yeah, it's
As
probably one
far
of
as,
those things. I know with the case of my test, it only gives you a score if you fail. So
yeah,
it just said I passed. And I was like, it doesn't tell me if I passed by, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, win's a win. Like,
if you're second place, you're last place. I had something that came to mind. If you were on a boat and you were thrown overboard, man overboard, and they couldn't get you like the lifesaver, or no one noticed it, how long do you think you would last, like in the ocean,
oh
like
man,
for someone to find you?
I'd be lucky if I lasted 24 hours. Because you got to understand, dude, like most body of waters, unless you're like in the Caribbean, they're cold.
It's cold, and it's very like temperamental, or it's very, it's out in the middle of nowhere. Like, those wakes get super like big, right? Like, I would
Yeah.
imagine, like, I don't know. I don't think I think 24 hours is.
I was saying I don't even know if I'd last 24 hours, man.
I don't even know if I'd last 24 minutes. Like, it would be
You
very
would last
quick.
24 minutes unless, you were swimming out in Jaws' territory and got eaten by a shark.
And that's
Maybe, I mean, unless you were like flailing dramatically and just drowned, I guess.
if I had something with me, like a wooden door that I could kick Leonardo DiCaprio off of, then I think I would be
There
able
was there
to.
was enough room on there for both of them, but James Cameron was like he had to die as part of the plot.
And but I think, with as far as the process goes, I don't even think I would make it like half an hour out in the middle of all of that. And I have swim lessons. I've been taught. I am bordering on, or I was bordering on. It's been a minute. I would imagine I've lost it by this point, but I was like lifeguard status. Like, I could have actually been certified to be a lifeguard, because I've taken so many swim classes, because my parents wanted us to, because we had a pool at our house, and that was kind of like, my parents wanted the idea where if we had friends over to swim at our house, they wanted me and my sister to be qualified enough to make sure that if my parents were watching for half a minute or so to go inside and get drinks or whatnot, that we would be able to like hold our own, and be able to make sure that we weren't doing unsafe things, and if people were doing unsafe things, that we could save them. I guess I don't
You
know,
don't
but
you don't think that muscle memory would kick in and you'd be like remembering how to doggy paddle or just like tread water to stay afloat?
I would like to think that I do, or that I would do better than most. I just think that a lot of people, it's like another thing. If you, it's like these hypotheticals where people, I think, underestimate the actual level of technical skill it takes to accomplish it. If you were on a plane and it was just you and a couple people or whatever, it's just you and the pilot, and then the pilot has a heart attack and goes out right there, would you be able to land the plane?
Did you read the article this week about there's something similar to that?
No.
Okay,
Did
I
this?
saw this thing on Yahoo, and apparently, like the guy who was piloting the plane or instructing the plane, he jumped out of the plane to his death and left the other person in that hypothetical situation.
By the way, pause. I want to hear more of this because this is
I'm trying to Google it right now to get some more time.
that guy who jumped out of the plane and took himself out. That guy is kudos to that guy. I applaud that guy. I know it sounds weird that I'm giving him his flowers. Just don't take me out with you. You know, I know you got all of your issues and your personal baggage. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't take me down with you. Just
Well, apparently, I'm reading this article on ABC News. This happened, I guess, in Argentina. A 22-year-old pilot was in training, I guess, was forced to land the plane she was training in after her instructor allegedly jumped midair to his death.
what? Okay.
I guess she was successful in doing it, but the guy, the pilot, I guess, the student, I guess, had a license but didn't have enough flight hours, had to apparently land the plane by themselves.
I think
And
that's a different level though. That person is literally in the middle of the process. Like they know which
right, but I
button.
mean, like, still, you're the pilot. I mean, the pilot like didn't know what to do when he jumped out of the plane and killed himself, allegedly.
I got like, why did he do that? Like that's the point. Like why didn't he take a parachute with him? Why? Obviously, I don't need the answer. It's more of a
I don't know. It's one of those he said
it's
she
more
said things.
rhetorical than anything of like, why would this guy do this? But the person in the hypothetical is much different than if you were sitting next to him just taking a joyride and then that person did that. Would you be
Well, I mean, you
able
could you could figure it out. I guess you could be flying by the seat of your pants, you know?
flying by? That's not the term. It's not by. It's by the vibrations in your butt. That's that's the real term for it. I don't think I would be able to land a plane too. And I just think that I feel like I have a little bit more of like observation skills and a little bit more wherewithal than other people. I just don't want to like assume. You know what it, you know what
Yeah.
assume stands for. I just don't want to assume that I would be able to do it and sound like full of myself. Like, oh yeah, of course I could last 48 hours on the ocean and tread water. And
So,
of
so
course I
Jeff, you
could.
would be the guy in the back of the plane looking for the inflatable raft so you could do the Temple of Doom thing and somehow survive.
Indy.
Andy!
So
And then, go over, like, not only land on a ski slope, but then go over like three waterfalls and not die too.
yeah, I don't think that I would be able to accomplish it. But the major factor is just being able to learn or know how to get a hold of any kind of air traffic control, because then I assume they can walk you through it, and they've been trained for those circumstances or scenarios. But getting to that point, I don't know. I don't want to say that I would be able to, but I think it's like a 50-50 that I'd be able to land a plane with. Because then, I've been on a plane recently, and you walk and then you look over. What year is it? Why do we have still so many damn dials and meters and little like
I
little
don't mind that
odometers
sort
and
of thing.
ometers.
I don't mind that sort of thing because if you don't want the planes being like too fancy, because then you run the issue like with that those Boeing Dreamliners that were like intentionally killing and just sending themselves into the ground and killing everybody on the plane.
This got dark in a quick, different plane crash type way. But I just look at it and it looks so confusing. Like, why is there so many damn buttons? Like, why is aren't we at a point where we should have a button that says
You're
"Take
like
me"?
Shatner in Airplane 2, and you're looking at like, oh, is this all beeping and knocking and knocking and ah!
Take me to LAX. There should be a button that just says "Take me to LAX," and it takes off and then it lands itself. I guess that is kind of like we. There's going to be a day where mail delivers itself too. So I
Why
think
do we need
that
all those pilots if you could just like hit a button and it would just take you there?
I think the pilots would be just like the robot umps. The robot umps are just there in case like in case it happens, in case stuff happens. I think that's what the umps are for, and that's what it's going to turn into because they're going to. It's literally going to be the robots are going to be calling all the strikes and balls, but the umps are just going to be there for show, just to call it and be like, oh, hand motion, and then to throw out people when their brawl happens or something, or when someone gets plunked.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with pilots. Pilots are just going to be more there for show and just there for when S hits the fan, when S hits the turbine, that they can land the plane there. But I think I think we should head out. I think we've done enough damage. I didn't realize that we were going to get into another instance of why. Oh, I am not the most. I'm always afraid that like people that I value their opinion of me of some sort, and some people are like, oh, I don't care what anyone thinks of me. Like those, that's a lie. People. You secretly deep down inside, it's I think human behavior to seek the approval of people. I'm just afraid that those people are going to listen to this and realize all of the crazy things that I've done.
Everybody's got
And
skeletons in their closet, Jeff. You're just honest enough to bring them out of the closet.
yeah, well, we'll get to yours eventually. And
What are you
email
talking
us.
about? I don't have any, Jeff. I live a very boring life.
It's
Nobody has stories on me.
okay. Well, we'll see. Come, stay tuned for next week. Make sure you are rating the show. Of course, walk like a mailman, and are submitting all of your pivot ideas. Like, what is the craziest thing Griffin has done to achieve greatness or a grade? At walklikeamailman@gmail.com.
We want to hear from you.
And thank you for listening, and we'll see all of you on the main show.
We're really doing the regular exit to the pivot
We
show.
have to, like, I've been told that the exits need to at least have some kind of polish on them.
Who says that?
Other people.